you have a look at these two questions, and this is what we call, well, they're really all meant to be this, but this is called a sorting question. Okay, this is a sorting question. So many times, like as an assessment setter, we put questions in just to see. Okay, if you have something like this, if I just say, can you graph this, please? Okay, can you graph this, please? What I'm testing for is, have you done the work that is included in the course? Because if you have, then you'll be able to do that with no sweat. You'll just, ta-da, there's my intercept, there's my shape, etc. Okay, this is a question just to demonstrate a basic skill. Okay. Between these two questions, there is not a basic skill. There is a higher order sort of understanding that I'm looking for. Okay. Now, if you look at these two and you think they're the same, you have demonstrated something right? Namely that you see this and you don't flip out and think, what shape is that? Never seen that before. You have seen it before. It's a hyperbola. Okay. But if you do not distinguish between the difference between them, there's a higher skill missing. For example, this is a different question, and we have seen this before. So, I have a vertical asymptote here because I can't divide by 0, so it's outside the domain. And then because y is the subject, right? It's y is less than, so it's a vertical thing. Am I thinking up or am I thinking down?
Down.
I'm thinking down. So down here, can't cross that asymptote, right? And then over here, the other branch, again, down. No problems, and you can test out points to confirm that, okay?
Oh, I wrote it on the wrong way.
Hold on, stay with me. Now, if we are now to rephrase the question and use this as our starting point, okay? To move from here to here, it's a really simple question, but just humor me. What operation have I done to both sides of this inequality to go from line 1 to line 2? Answer?
Divide.
I divided by x, right? I divided this side by x, and I divided this side by x. Now you guys know, for instance, if I asked you to solve this, right? You would divide both sides by minus 1, right? So this would become x, and then this would become -1. But of course, because you divide it by a negative number, right, you don't leave that inequality facing the way it was before. You turn it around. Correct? Right? Now x is a variable. It's not a number. This variable sometimes is positive. Over here, it's positive. But other times, it's going to be negative. Right? X is negative all over here. So therefore, when you do this, you do not get one result at the end, you get 2. You get a positive case, which by the way is exactly the same, right? Like when you have this, you divide that by a positive number, the inequality is still facing in the same direction, okay? So you're going to get, over here, you're going to get this. Just like you got before, it's underneath, right? But when you come over to, and I'm now actually going to write it out the way we should have written it, and maybe if you don't have space on your piece of paper now, or you don't have your piece of paper in front of you, okay, so maybe get out your book. Here's what you should have done. Here's what you should have done. I have two cases. I have a negative case and I have a positive case, right? For the positive case, I just dealt with that. The inequality faces the same way. But for the negative case, I'll still have the same things, but the inequality, like this guy, has flipped around. It's now greater than. I'm above the line, okay? So from that, I take it that I'm above, up here, okay? Now you can go ahead and you can test the point, and you can verify that, okay? And in fact, we're about to do that for the last piece of information that I need to put onto this graph, which I didn't have to worry about with this guy, okay? I have an asymptote. The boundary line is not defined at x equals 0, so you don't need to worry about it. The region clearly will not be defined if the boundary is not defined. But have a look at this guy. No division by 0, right? So I can put in x equals 0, I can put in y equals 0. I can't put it into this, it won't satisfy this line, but this inequality, like if you put in x equals 0, then 0 times anything will be 0, right? Which, sure enough, is less than 6. Okay. So in fact, every point along the y-axis satisfies the inequality. So really, my shading goes right across. It blows straight through what you would think of as your vertical asymptote over here, which is why I did not draw it. Okay. So this is a real curveball, isn't it? Right? Like, you wouldn't usually think to this because I haven't shown you explicitly to do it, but I kind of wanted to see if you would recognize that there really is a difference between these. Namely, this.